with a pandemic, shaky economy, human rights violations, and riots. What might be coming next, and why is it all happening? Leo Knighton Tallarico, a longtime professional astrologer, will show us the planetary movements behind all this transformation. Is it possible extraterrestrial beings are a part of all this? Sit back and enjoy the ride as Leo takes us on a journey into the cosmos, showing us humanity's movement into the age of Aquarius, which will unite us all, even in the face of our world's challenges. And now, Perspectives from the Sky with Leo.
Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Perspectives from the Sky on this second day of April 2022. We started this show just a little bit before COVID. In fact, I think we started it when COVID was actually discovered, though we didn't know it at the time. And then, 2020, 21, 22. So we've been doing this for a little over 2 years now. And we're coming to an important time period. We had an Aries New Moon Thursday night into Friday. And I can talk about that. But in my way of looking at things, it begins the eclipse season, spring eclipse season, which is going to last pretty much through all of May into early June. And the highlights, of course, since it's called eclipse season, are 2 eclipses. First eclipse will be on April 30th, and it'll be at 10 plus degrees of Taurus. It's a solar eclipse. Therefore, it's also a new moon. And the second eclipse will be on May 15th, and it'll be a Scorpio full moon, which means the sun and moon are opposite one another. So the sun will be at 25 degrees of Taurus plus, and the moon will be at 25 plus degrees of Scorpio. And that'll be a solar eclipse full moon, lunar eclipse full moon, because all lunar eclipses are full moons. All solar eclipses are new moons. So this new moon that we just experienced, still experiencing in the air, in the energetic air, is powerful, and it leads to the next new moon. So this lunar cycle will go through the Aries lunar cycle, and then that solar eclipse will start the next lunar cycle. So I believe that the Aries new moon is actually the beginning of New Year. I know we celebrate New Year like on January 1st, but with planetary energies, it's kind of like not connected very well. It comes, 10 or 12 days after the winter solstice. And it doesn't feel like New Year, although in other parts of the world down under, maybe it feels more like it, but still, even then, it's Cancer. Or it's Capricorn, but it's a different weather pattern at the time down there, down under Australia, etc. But Aries, when the first of spring, feels like New Year. And that's when the sun moves into Aries, is the beginning of spring. That's spring equinox. But the moon is far behind at that time. When the moon catches up to the sun, that makes a new moon. So moon conjunct sun in Aries is new moon in Aries. And that's what we just experienced. It's like you need that pair together. That's kind of like starts things up. When the yin and the yang are together. And then the full moon is yin and yang are opposite each other. And that kind of brings people to a culmination. It brings us to culminations. And to understandings of things. But this Aries new moon, it's powerful. Mars is the ruling planet of Aries. And for all of us, it's a time of new beginnings. Aries is like the buds coming through the branches. It's like the sperm rushing to the egg in competition to get there. It's like someone standing up for themselves and saying, this is what I believe in. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be true to myself and true to what I believe is right. Yeah, Aries gets a lot of reputation for being selfish. And it can be, because remember, the focus is on me. It doesn't mean the focus is on me in a self-centered way necessarily. That's not the most that's not the best way or the most pure way of being Aries. It's more like I'm asserting who I am and true to who I am and true to the truth. That's Aries at its best. And yeah, there can be competition in there. That definitely happens with Aries. And yes, sometimes it can have too much force over power. That's true. That can be Aries. It can be very awkward relationally. Yep, that can be Aries. But remember, I am. You know that spiritual phrase, I am? That is Aries. You know, it comes from the nothing is there, and then all of a sudden, I am. So this is that time. And so at the new moon, remember, it's dark. The moon is dark still at a new moon. The day before, pretty much fully dark. Day of, pretty much fully dark. Next day, like maybe tonight, you might see a little bit of sliver of the moon. But when the moon is dark especially, is a good time to make or to plant seeds and to make intentions, to meditate. Then those things are more effective. So if you're making intentions from a like outer cheerleader, I'm gonna, that's not as effective as if you're deep inside yourself, and from there you make your intentions, and from there you plant your seeds. And it's a very good time to do that now. Today too. So also means things getting started, new beginnings. Also coming out of the winter. Yes, at spring equinox, like we just mentioned, that's the end of winter, the beginning of spring, but it feels even more like the end of winter and the beginning of spring when the sun and moon join for that new moon in Aries. So this next lunar cycle will last until April 30th. And as we said before, at that time, it'll be a new moon in Taurus, which is also an eclipse. So this is a powerful time you can see out in the world. A lot of powerful things are happening. And we've been talking for a long time about Age of Aquarius, which we believe began on winter solstice 2020. And now we're in the beginning stages of it. But we also let everybody know that a lot of what the new age is going to have, especially in the beginning, is a lot of conflict, a lot of difficulty, a lot of challenge in order to make the transition from the old age to the new age. Remember, it's like anything else, and I'm sure you've experienced this too. It's like when it's time for change, when it's time to do something new, everyone doesn't just go, yay, I'm going, it's time to do something new. It's hard to let go sometimes. There's a lot of like hanging on to things before we allow ourselves to go through the change. A dramatic example of that is like we have life support systems now. When you're going to die, you can be put on life support systems and prolong your life. But for all practical purposes at that time, you've moved on. And the deeper level of who we are as humans has been moving on into this age of Aquarius. A lot of you that listen out there have been on that road for a long time, on the age of Aquarius, in the new world, new way of doing things, moving beyond the old paradigm from the Pisces age. Remember, the Pisces age began around the time of Christ's birth, maybe 100 years or so before. And that brought on the age of Pisces. At that time, what was going on? There was an empire running things. And the religion of Judaism was very strong at that time. Christ came from there. Christ was a Jew. And that's when the Christian religion began, as Christ was crucified on the cross, as the story goes. And then, I think it was Peter or Paul, I forget which one, I think Paul. And he then went out there, getting everybody together to start a religion. Christian religion began. Roman Empire turned into Christian before long. And then 600 years later, Muhammad was on the earth, and he was the initiator of the Muslim religion. And those two religions were the first religions to actually become worldwide. And now, as we get to the end of the age, moving into the age of Aquarius, they're still strong. A lot of people have a lot of doubts about organized religion now for a lot of good reasons. The people that started it, people that started the religions, sometimes it's hard to see them or feel them within the religions. And so a lot of people have left the religion, per se, and instead have gotten on a spiritual path. And that spiritual path might include Christ consciousness in it, because Christ himself brought a lot of wonderful spiritual things to our earth. Christianity then, in all too many cases, turned it into guilt and rules and regulations, commandments, fine to a certain extent. But then things like spiritual connection, open hearts for love and connection, get buried under the rules. So, Deb and I started not too many years ago something called Spiritual Renaissance. It feels like it's getting some life back in it again. Spiritual Renaissance. So we had a Spiritual Renaissance Center in Maine, put out a Spiritual Renaissance publication in Santa Fe, where we lived for a while, at Santa Fe, New Mexico, and in Maine. And now we have a Spiritual Renaissance publication, but it's all on the net. Anyone interested in that would like to get this Spiritual Renaissance publication, please write me at Solus, SOULUS, at AOL.com. Write Deborah and Moonsoul9 at AOL.com. And you can get a free subscription to Spiritual Renaissance, which we put out a couple times a month usually. It's got my forecast in there. It's got Deborah's wisdom and some other things also. So here we are, eclipse season again. Take a look out in the world. Pretty messy. Remember, the age started with an empire. The age is ending with an empire. In fact, the world as it sits now is going through deep, deep change. We are becoming a multipolar world. Now, that's not easy. There's a lot of wonderful principles that we in the United States have as our foundation for our country. Now, I think we can see that to a large extent, a lot of those principles are not adhered to as much as the principles of money and greed and fame and fortune. And so we need to get back to our principles. But when you become an empire, power becomes especially important. And sometimes power means power over. That's not the best use of power. Pluto, the planet that represents power the most in the zodiac, was discovered in 1930. When a planet is discovered, you can get a lot of information about what that planet means by taking a look at what's going on the Earth at the time that Pluto, or a planet, is discovered. So when Pluto was discovered in 1930, there were a lot of extremely powerful figures on the Earth, like Capone, like Stalin, Hitler was beginning to grow into something in the world. A lot of really bigger than life, powerful figures when Pluto was discovered. But in 1930, Mahatma Gandhi led a civil disobedience against the British Empire. It was the salt, to do with the salt mines. And that began the process of breaking away from Britain. And so power can be used for other than power over dominance and selfish power and getting what I want from you and out of you. And in this case, power was used for the collective, for the people to stand up and get their freedom from the British Empire. So that's why Pluto can be a wonderful planet, or it can be a most horrible planet. And right now, a lot of what Pluto's being used for is power over. But remember, as you demonize Putin, and it's pretty easy, the fact that he's like running over people the way he is and indiscriminately killing innocent people. Remember that wars have been this way, not just this one. The United States in the Iraq War killed a lot of civilians. It wasn't publicized as most because, Iraqis, Muslims, more those people. Ukraine feels more to people in the United States like our people. But that's what we need to move beyond. My people versus your people. My people are the good guys, and your people are the bad guys. Do you notice that it's always that way? It's always my country, my way of being is the good one, whether it's the religion or the family or whatever it is, and the people that oppose me are the bad ones? How could that be? Do you realize the ones that you call the bad ones, they believe that they're the good ones and that we're the bad ones? Well, as you get up on high in the mountain and take a look at this bigger picture, you say, I have to rethink it all then, who's the good guy and bad guys. And maybe it's not about good guys and bad guys. In a lot of cases, it is about power. Geopolitical power. Power of to get resources that people want. So what needs to end is what we all have had inside of us. And that creates the real transformation. Taking out Putin or whoever the latest demon is, like Saddam Hussein, doesn't change anything except temporarily. We have to change inside ourselves. Take a look where this attitude of power over has taken us. Nuclear weapons. More and more countries all over the world have them or want them. Putin threatens to use them. The United States has used them. Japan, August 1945. Hiroshima, Nagasaki. There are no good guys here in this story. We need to get away from power over. As we get away from power over, there will be no weapons of mass destruction if humans no longer had that in them. Yes, it's important to be empowered because a lot of people, they see what's out in the world and they don't want even any power themselves because they know what power does when it's misused. Abuse of power is rampant, can be rampant on our earth. So they decide, no, I'm not going to be empowered at all because I don't want to be that kind of person. But you can be empowered, meaning be yourself. Be the authority of who you are. Be your authenticity without dominating someone else. Just be empowered. let me go through this month ahead a little bit, because again, it's the transformation inside each of us that's important. You can focus on what's going on in the world, and I look at it and see what's going on all the time. I look at the charts of everybody, the leaders, the countries, so I can get a handle on what's coming, or what's going on. But the main focus needs to be now on internal transformation. Remember, everything starts on the inside. That's where real transformation happens. And as we transform internally, the outer world then changes too. Our outer world changes. And if enough people are doing that, Deborah said people are confused. Yeah, the moon's in Taurus now, that's true. But the eclipse itself was Sun and Moon in Aries. Sun and Moon in Aries. The moon keeps moving faster than the sun. The moon stays in a sign for 28 and a half days approximately, and the sun stays in for 30 days. So the moon's moving quickly. So the moon's already gone into Taurus, but still we have the vibration, the energy still of the Aries new moon. Not an eclipse, but it begins the eclipse season. Because a lot of the energies and the issues that are important to address happen when the Aries new moon or the new moon prior to the next new moon, which is an eclipse, happen. So we're already, and I know you can feel it, most of you. The energies have really intensified around this new moon, more than usual new moons. And a lot of that is because it's the beginning of eclipse season. It's the beginning of energies changing and events changing, leading us up to the eclipse, first one and then the second one. So let's go through it again now. Oh yeah, so when the new moon was in Aries, let me just stay one more moment on the new moon in Aries. It was conjunct Mercury in Aries and conjunct Chiron in Aries too. In fact, Chiron was almost exactly conjunct that new moon. Just about exactly 11 plus degrees of Aries. Chiron's important. I don't talk about it a lot. A lot of astrologers don't. Some do. But Chiron's important. And I'll tell you how I take Chiron, what I've learned about Chiron. There were the original planets that everybody knew from Saturn on down. Nobody knew about Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto until 1781 when Uranus was discovered. But in 1977, after all three of those outer planets were discovered, Chiron was discovered, 1977. Where does Chiron sit? Chiron sits in between Saturn and Uranus. So Saturn on in, and then Uranus on out. The Uranus on out, those are the ambassadors of the age of Aquarius. They came in to let us know that we needed to move beyond whatever Saturn represented. And Saturn represents, in a lot of ways, patriarchal God. Uranus was discovered in 1781 around the time of two revolutions. So what Uranus represents is moving beyond authorities telling everybody what to do, a patriarchy telling everybody what to do. And it's about we the people, right? That's a lot of what the revolutions were about. If you want to know what a planet is about, take a look at what's going on on Earth at the time that it's discovered. So Age of Aquarius began with Uranus. I don't want to get into Neptune and Pluto. Also, we've done it before. It's going to take a long time. But they were also ambassadors of this new age, which means transforming our consciousness into new ways of being aligned with the new age. And again, that Saturn, the last one out, has a lot to do with hierarchical systems, patriarchy. There's a lot of good things about Saturn. It's just that for the sake of changing ages, it's more appropriate to the last age than the age that we are moving into. And Chiron fits in between. So the way I see Chiron is a bridge between our ego self, our old self, and our higher self, our soul self, our new self. Chiron is the bridge. So when you look in your natal chart and you say, okay, well, here's my ego self. I see it, it's all the planets Saturn on in. Now Uranus on out. I see what I'm doing by transformation in my higher self. Chiron's your bridge. Wherever it sits and whatever it's doing is meant to give you a connection between your lower and higher self so to speak. Your old self, your new self, your Pisces 8 self, your new Aquarian 8 self. It's the bridge. I just want to throw a little bit of Chiron in. So let me go through what's happening now during this eclipse season. And then Deborah's going to be speaking soon. She's going to be talking about the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. She's going to give us a nice meditation. She's got a lot of wise and good things to tell us. So I'm going to get through my phase and then hand it off to Deb. So on April 4th, that's just 3 days from now, there'll be a conjunction of Mars and Saturn in Aquarius. This is more important than usual. Mars and Saturn are making a conjunction. One reason is that Mars and Saturn in Aquarius will be opposite Putin's Pluto at that time. Putin, in his natal chart, has got Pluto right at the top of his chart. So it kind of rules the chart. It's Pluto and Leo. Power. In his case, where it appears to be is power over, which is not the kind of power that we are talking about that's good for us as growing, evolving humans. So that Saturn in Aquarius opposite Pluto means stronger and stronger Aquarian energies, like banded together as one. Aquarian energies challenging Putin's Pluto. That's likely going to mean he's going to get more into his power when he faces that. Maybe something different will happen with it. We'll see around the 4th. So just look 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. But the actual aspect is on the 4th. And his power will be challenged in a big way, like a turning point. And will that mean that he'll use more power over, or will it mean that he's going to get into the Saturn and Aquarius? Or Aquarius is the group, the community. Pluto, Leo, is the one. Aquarius is the many. So the many coming, the Pluto one, the autocracy, power over, getting challenged, and then what will it do? That's April 4th. So that could be a big turning point in the world. April 12th, and this is what Deb's going to be talking about later, I'll talk a little bit about it now, is Jupiter conjunct Neptune in Pisces. On that same day, Mars will be at 28 degrees of Aquarius. I've been telling everybody for a while that 28 degrees of fixed signs is a really important place in the zodiac. Back in 2017, there was a solar eclipse at 28 degrees of Leo. And that's back when Trump and the North Korean leader were strutting with each other. And also when the white supremacy happened in Virginia, which kind of brought on the culture war in a much bigger way in the United States. So that 28 degrees is an important degree, not just because of that moment, but there's so many countries and so many leaders, and I study these things all the time, who have important planets sitting at 28 degrees of Aquarius, 28 degrees of Leo, 28 degrees of Taurus, 28 degrees of Scorpio. It's almost amazing. So when something hits that degree, I know that something important could happen. So on April 12th, we have Jupiter conjunct Neptune in Pisces and Mars at that 28 degrees of fixed signs. Jupiter conjunct Neptune in Pisces. Now this could be, depending on where you are in your consciousness, it could be confusing and chaotic, or it can be extremely spiritual, moving into new dimensions. Deborah will touch into that second way of it being when she starts talking with you really soon. So Jupiter conjunct Neptune, for those of you on a spiritual path, this is a wonderful conjunction. If you can surrender to spirit, you can surrender to spirit and soul, you can enter new dimensions. You can move beyond your ego self. You can be more connected to synchronicities, to connections, to higher love and truth. Because in a way, in many ways, Jupiter has a lot of truth in it. Neptune has a lot of higher love in it, and they're both in Pisces. So a lot of love and truth and moving to higher dimensions. On April 16th, there's a full moon. So remember, the new moon was in Aries, and then there's a full moon on the 16th. Full moons are sun and moon opposite each other. In this case, it'll be sun in Aries, opposite moon in Libra. However, both of them will be closely square to Pluto at that time. So there'll be a lot of, is it about me? Or am I going to concentrate on us, Libra? Am I going to concentrate on me? Am I going to concentrate on us? Now, that doesn't mean the me is bad, because if everything is just us, then it's like everything just becomes immersed to a way where everybody loses their boundaries and nobody knows who's who. So me is important too, not just us. But another way that this can play out is Libra, peace, Aries, conflict. Aries, peace. Aries, war, Libra, peace. Now with Pluto there, in that configuration at that full moon, it means that there could be a powerful transformation about how that is being played out in the moment. Are we leaning toward war at that time? We move more toward peace, or vice versa. Now we keep moving in April. And on April 29th, Pluto changes directions from direct to retrograde. Now, when any planet changes directions, its energy is amplified and in the spotlight when it is changing directions, like the day before, the day of, the day after. So Pluto's energy will be amplified around that time, 29th, so 28, 29, 30, right? Now remember, the next day, the 30th, is a solar eclipse, new moon in Taurus. Do you realize the power of Pluto will be much stronger, exponentially stronger, because it's so close to that eclipse? And the eclipse will be exponentially stronger because it's so close to Pluto, the most powerful of the transformational planets. And also within that eclipse, Uranus will be making a conjunction to the solar eclipse. Uranus will be at about 14 degrees of Taurus, and the eclipse itself will be between 10 and 11 degrees of Taurus. So that's a conjunction. So Uranus will be strong and Pluto will be strong at the time of that eclipse. That means more power for transformation. Remember, from the positive standpoint, all the things that are going on in the world give us the potential for our transformation. There's change in the air when there's eclipses. Change requires some amount of chaos usually. But that chaos makes it easier in many ways to go through the process of transformation. The more a person's taken to the edge, the more they're going to allow themselves to make the change. You can't just make a change up here. In order for true change to happen, it happens throughout our system holistically. Our hearts, our bodies, our emotions, our spirits. And transformation that really works is happening holistically just that way. So use that Uranus and use that Pluto for transformation. What needs to be transformed? Remember, the focus is internally. I know a lot of people right now are going through like really challenges in their relationships, big ones. They're being challenged on their jobs. One of the reasons all these challenges are happening is because we're all being forced to grow. And as we grow, sometimes let's just take a relationship. Sometimes we start growing in a different direction, or we start getting impatient with the person that we're with because they are to be in our way around how we're changing and how we're transforming. Then there's the crisis with that relationship, within that job, within that family. And then it's time through the transformation to see how to keep, let's just keep it with relationship for now, how to keep that relationship going with everything changing the way it is. And in some cases, the relationship needs to be let go of because the two people are just moving in different directions, and there's no meeting ground in the different directions that they're moving in. And in other reasons too, that it doesn't work. So transformation means you're changing patterns. So if a relationship is ready for a changing pattern and it can't change or refuses to change, then the relationship works no more. But in a lot of cases, both people get to change. They change within the relationship, and the relationship moves on to a better place. A much better place oftentimes happens during crises. So then we move into May. We're going to get through May, and then Deb's going to give us a meditation and some wisdom. On May 10th, Mercury goes retrograde. And it stays retrograde until June 3rd. So that means that the second eclipse is going to be within the Mercury retrograde. On May 15th is the actual lunar eclipse. And that lunar eclipse is in Taurus, Scorpio. Sun in Taurus, Moon in Scorpio. And it will also have a strong planet in it. You'll have Saturn in it, not a transformational planet. But remember, the planet of all planets before the others were discovered, the king of hierarchy, the king of patriarchy, Saturn, will be right in that eclipse. It's going to be a powerful eclipse. It's going to be a lot of energy to keep things as they are. The Saturn's got that. Keep things as they are. Put them in order. And then you'll have the eclipse, lunar eclipse, which will have the power of change. And it's Taurus and Scorpio. And sometimes there's a lot of power struggles within Taurus and Scorpio. So this will be a big turning point out in the world. I want you to keep in mind now, during this eclipse season, it's likely that the Russia-Ukraine thing is going to get bigger. It's likely that Israel, Iran, Palestinians is going to intensify. It's likely that China, Taiwan goes to the next level of whatever's going to happen there. So that's May 15th. Then on May 29th, okay, just a little bit before the 29th, Mars will have gone into Aries and Jupiter will have gone into Aries. And they'll meet on the 29th in Aries at 3 degrees of Aries. That Mars conjunct Jupiter in Aries squares the United States Venus in Cancer. Venus in Cancer in the United States chart, that's the place of comfort. That's the place of nurturance. That's the place of safety. Mars conjunct Jupiter in Aries is going to throw the country collectively out of its feeling of comfort. And it's in Aries. So there could be conflict. There could be moving into new ground that threatens the old comfort places, the economy. That's May 29th. So to really be aware of that time period from that eclipse through that Mars conjunct Jupiter in Aries. Powerful time of change. And in your own life, that's the positive. You're going to be pushed to move forward. Not so much to be processing as moving forward. Doesn't mean you're not processing anymore, but the energies are going to be to push all of us to go forward. Did you ever play that game as a kid? What was it, tag or whatever? And everybody's hiding, and then ready or not, here I come. Okay, well, that's what Mars, Jupiter, and Aries is going to be like. Ready or not, time to get going. Time to move forward. Then on May 30th, there's a new moon in Gemini, and that new moon in Gemini is right at the United States Uranus. So more change in the United States. Saturn goes retrograde on June 4th. Saturn will be strongly in the air. June 14th, there's a full moon at 23 degrees of Sag, Gemini, right near the United States Mars. And then on July 1st, Mars squares the USA Pluto at 27 plus degrees, Aries to Capricorn. That takes us through that takes us through the eclipse season, starting now, ending beginning of July. So again, so no one gets confused out there, eclipse season doesn't mean that there's an eclipse. It means that there's a whole big period of time with eclipses inside that big period of time. And in this case, eclipse season starts at the Aries New Moon, but the first eclipse is not until April 30th. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll be back in 2 weeks to give you more talk on all different aspects. We're going to have somebody on who's about discussing things on a deep level with me, and that's going to be Ron, who's been with us before. Ron will be with us again, and then we'll probably have some guests on UFOs and ETs at that time. So there'll be a lot coming up with the next couple of shows. As we get through this eclipse season, we're going to really need to do a lot of deep diving into our souls to see what's happening. So without further ado, I think Ms. Deborah might be ready. Are you ready, Deb? Okay, let me put the switch on here. There she is. Hi, Deb.
Hey there. Hey, everybody. There's an echo happening right now, and I'm not sure why. Do you have your headset plugged
I'm going to
in?
put my headset on. That'll probably make it better for you. Hold on. Because that sound is probably just echoing into here. Let's see what that does, Deb. Try talking now, hon.
I'm still echoing.
You still hear the echo?
Yeah, it's really bad.
I have no idea. This has happened before. We didn't know how to change it at that time either. Maybe if you come in here.
No, maybe you can turn off your sound.
Okay, let me see what I can do.
Mute your mic.
I know.
So let's see if that's better. No, it's still echoing. And actually yours sounded funny when I was listening to you through the whole thing. So it's going to be kind of hard to talk with this echo. Is your microphone unplugged from your computer?
I don't have a microphone plugged on. I just turned the mic off on my end. That's all.
Your headset.
It didn't matter. It did the same thing whether it was in or out. Now it's in. Now it's out.
Let's see if I have it. It's not as bad. Okay. Oh no, it's echoing. Okay, everybody, I'm so sorry about this echo and this sound. It's kind of difficult. I don't know how I'm going to do this with the echoing like that, and I don't know what's causing it.
Deb, why don't you come in here and sit in my seat?
No, because you're echoing too.
Okay, well, not that much, I don't think. But I'm not echoing that much from here.
Okay, let me, I'll come in there then.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody. I'm in Leo's chair right now. As soon as I turned my mic off, it made a big difference. So hopefully you can hear everything okay. And Leo's sitting next to me. So what I wanted to talk about before the meditation is some things Leo didn't cover, which is in the cycle of Venus, which I've been working with over the last few years in a wonderful class I have with Venus Alchemy, is about the cycle of Venus and the synodic cycle of Venus, which is the larger cycle, which is 18 to 19 months. And that happens every 18 months. And there's this whole bigger 8-year cycle, which is there's a symbol called the Rose of Venus that symbolizes that it forms a star. But I'm not going to get into that. But what is really important is we just entered on Monday the throat chakra gateway. So I wanted to just share about that because you may have issues coming up around communication. I think Leo mentioned that too, about relationships and communication. So just really pay attention to your throat and doing things, whatever you can do to open your throat chakra. I've been doing the lion's breath and the lion's yoga pose because it opens up your throat and your mouth. And it's the descent. So it's actually the time of releasing around the throat chakra so we can reclaim our voices. And I think it's so synchronistic with the new moon in Aries, because the new moon in Aries also, to me, has to do with speaking our truth and that sword of truth and our authentic voice. So those kind of go together. And I just wanted to add a couple of things to the Aries new moon that I've been feeling and experiencing since it happened. Actually, overnight, Thursday night into Friday, is when I started getting in touch with, and last night too, while the moon was still in Aries, what is it that I really want? What do I want in my life? And also, Aries is that new beginnings of the seed. It's the seed because it's the first sign of the solar zodiac year. So, and all new moons are connected to our seed intentions, but this one even more powerful because of spring, planting our seeds. And I mean, literally, we're planting seeds in our gardens now. And it's that time to really look at, okay, what do I want to intend and plant for this whole solar year ahead? So really tune into that now and what that is for you, and receive visions. Even though the moon is in Taurus now, you might get even more grounded about what those seed intentions might be. So just tune into that. And Aries is also that energy of I am here, and I have boundaries, and this is who I am. And so it's a lot of that strength. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the Jupiter Neptune conjunction. And for me, it's very personal too, because I have moon in Pisces. Leo has Venus in Pisces near this conjunction. So I'm feeling it really, really strongly because Jupiter's right at my moon right now. So I've been really tuning into that Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces energy and that energy of devotion. Pisces has so much to do with devotion to our spiritual path, devotion to a higher power, devotion to, for me, the Holy Mother, devotion to Mother Earth, devotion to whatever it is that's your spiritual source. And also, Jupiter, like Leo said, I loved what he said about higher truth and higher love coming together in Pisces. And that energy of Pisces is also that oneness and unity consciousness, because it's beyond the ego, it's beyond the self, and it's that great ocean. Neptune is that great ocean of consciousness. So I'm really excited for this conjunction, and I just want to ask people to suggest that people just really tune into your spiritual path. What are you devoted to? What do you want to devote yourself to on your spiritual path right now in your life? And I know this doesn't happen very often. I guess every 12 years where Jupiter and Neptune conjunct each other. But it won't be in Neptune. It won't be in Pisces next time. So this is super powerful in Pisces. And so just allow yourself, like Leo said, to go into other dimensions, meditate as much as you can, really, really tune in to your spiritual path and what you're devoted to. And from your heart, and tune into that love, that higher love vibration, that higher truth vibration. And then before the Jupiter Neptune conjunction, Venus goes into Pisces. They won't be conjunct Venus, but Venus will also be in Pisces starting on April 5th. So you might also feel that energy of Venus shifting from Aquarius into Pisces. And again, that energy of love, Venus and Pisces, energy of love, higher love, devotion, are all those energies.
That Venus will be conjunct Jupiter in Pisces.
Yes.
Around the 30th of
exactly. And I had written that down. I was going to say that. So, right before, I guess, right at the time of the eclipse, new moon is that conjunction of Jupiter and Venus in Pisces, which is awesome. Right before that conjunction of Venus and Jupiter in Pisces, Neptune will just be a couple degrees away. Mm-hmm. Is we enter the heart chakra gateway in the cycle of Venus on April 26th. So I think that's really powerful too, is, entering the heart chakra gateway right before that new moon in Taurus and right before Beltane. Beltane is the energy of the sacred marriage, the divine union. So it's a really powerful time. So I'm not going to talk anymore. Even though it's a throat chakra and I've been talking more and getting in tune with what I have to say more, I'm going to do a little meditation to kind of anchor us into what I was just talking about. And I'm going to be using today the throat chakra bowl. And this is my Atlantean wand. And it's a crystal singing bowl that is for the throat chakra. So just take a moment to just tune in to the vibration of the crystal singing bowl. And just feel the vibration going into your throat chakra now, as we are not even a week into this gateway of the throat chakra. And then tuning in to the new moon that we just had, and the beginning of this new lunar cycle and this new solar year, new zodiac year. And just feel this time of spring in the northern hemisphere, at least, not in the southern hemisphere, but just feel that energy of spring and the seeds, because this is a time of initiation of these new seeds for our life, for our spiritual path, and for our planet. So just take a moment now to just tune in. What are those little seeds stirring inside of you, wanting your attention, so you may tend them with all your love in this new solar year, in this new lunar cycle, and in this new season of spring. And then let us tune in to beloved Jupiter and Neptune as they grow closer and closer together in Pisces. They're just a couple degrees away from each other now. And just feel that energy of higher truth, higher love, in that great ocean of oneness and unity consciousness. Tune into your heart chakra now and just get in touch with, in your heart, in your higher heart, in your higher mind, with Jupiter and Pisces and Neptune and Pisces, that higher truth and love. And just tuning in now. What is it that you are devoted to? Or want to devote yourself to? It's like the energy of the bhakti path of heart. Our heart is where our devotion lies. Whether we're devoted to our beloved, to our planet, to our spiritual life, that energy of devotion, it's in the heart. So just feel that energy of devotion. Growing in your heart chakra. What are you devoted to? Or what do you long to devote yourself to on your spiritual path? And just allow yourself over the next 10 days as we get closer to this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces. And then on April 5th, as Venus moves into Pisces, just really tune into your spiritual journey and just opening yourself up, your heart, your crown, opening yourself up to spiritual downloads, to spiritual guidance, new directions on your spiritual path. And just allowing yourself to experience that union with your own higher self, with your heart, with the beloved, the great beloved, the divine. Because really it's that devotion to the divine within us and within all life. So really allow yourself to experience that energy of oneness with the earth, with your higher self, with all your beloveds, and with the great beloved. So I leave you with this now. And I just wanted to say, I know we just have a minute left.
Yes.
To thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
For being with us today.
Yes.
And I won't be at the next
don't
radio
say
show
that.
because I'll be in a retreat on Mother Earth's body doing spiritual work for her.
I'll be here.
And Leo will be here. And just really open your hearts to receive these energies and all our love. And you can reach me at GaiaSophiaTempleOfTheHeart.com and Leo at LeoKnightonTallarico.com. And Spiritual Renaissance website is down. We will have a new website, hopefully in the next 6 months sometime. So you can reach us on either of our websites. And much love and infinite blessings.
Take care, everyone. I'll see you on the 16th. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.